My 401k was down 30% last year. I'm not joking, 30%. That's painful. I think that a lot of people, especially these past few years, right? And I think people are looking for other options that are more stable. And I love the appreciation, right? I'm putting my money into something that's going to increase in value.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the Gentle Art of Crushing It show, where we focus on learning and sharing with our listeners all there is to know about how to create success in our lives. This show stands on the shoulders of giants. Our mission is to empower and inspire our listeners to create the life of their dreams whilst having a blast in the process. Let's celebrate life together. Welcome to the show.
All right, welcome back to the Gentle Art of Crushing It Passive Investing Edition podcast. My name is Randy Smith, and I will be your host today. And we have got a fantastic guest, Dawn Keller, with us today. Dawn is actually the founder of Crown Capital Multifamily. She is still a W-2 employee in sales, and she is doing amazing, amazing things in this space. So, Dawn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Randy. It is an honor to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and jump right in. Why don't you give us a quick overview of your background and how you found multifamily investing and passive investing, if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Happy to share just my story, a little bit about my background. I live in the Dallas area with my husband, Jason, and our sweet little pit mix that we adopted during COVID. So she's a COVID baby. But for me, I think my story kind of have to take a step back to say that I didn't grow up with a lot. My parents divorced when I was 2 years old, and there was a time there when I saw my mom working 2 jobs and raising 3 small children. And no doubt in my mind that this absolutely shaped kind of who I am today, made me very independent. And I have so much respect for her. I'll never know the sacrifices that she made. But sometimes we just have to figure things out in life. And I think that really has carried through my entire life. But I was taught growing up really just to get a good job and save your money, save. I was a really good saver. And that's what my parents knew. And so that's what they taught me. And so I, put all my money in a 401k. And you will see how that's working out for me right now. Not great. And I'm so grateful for that W-2 job, but I kept thinking along the way, I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this than just saving your money and putting in a retirement account. And that's really what got me thinking about investing in something, and particularly real estate. I knew that there's value in real estate. I understand that there's value in putting your money into something that's going to grow, that's going to appreciate over time. I just didn't know what that looked like or how to get started in that. So, what did I do? The first thing I did is I did a single family flip. That seemed right. That seemed logical. So I did that. And my thought immediately was, how am I going to scale this into something bigger? That was my problem with single family flipping. So that's not really what I was looking for. And I did a lot of research. I almost bought I looked at car washes. I looked at self-storage. I looked at a lot of different asset classes, but multifamily really just checked all of the boxes for me, just with the appreciation that I was looking for, and the growing my money exponentially, the tax savings just all of these things that I didn't even know existed. I'm like, gosh, that was really what I was looking for. And, now my parents are in their 70s. My mom's 69, she's about to be 70. My dad's 74, and they're both still working. And I hate that for them. Like, I don't want them to have to work. And frankly, I don't want to work until I'm 70. Right. And the more people that I talk with, the more people that I realize this is a reality that a lot of people are facing, that they're having to work until 70 or, 65, 70. This is a real thing that's happening. And I've made so many connections with people that have just said, like, Dawn, this is what I've been looking for, is because I want to figure out something else of how I can put my money to work. So that's really just how kind of I got and started investing passively. And now I've connected with so many people that are looking for that same thing.
Are you interested in real estate investing but don't know where to get started, or think you don't have the time or money? Are you stuck in your W-2 because the golden handcuffs make it hard to walk away? If this sounds like you, check out impactequity.net and schedule some time to talk with the founder, Randy Smith. Randy went from massive income to leaving his W-2 through passive income, and he can help you do the same. www.impactequity.net.
Awesome. And so, I mean, you covered a lot of ground there. And first of all, um, single mom with three kids working, or was it single mom or
Yeah,
not
three
single mom?
kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So she was, so before
Yes.
she remarried, yeah. So I have a stepdad, of course, yes. But there were
Okay.
several years before she remarried that she was raising three children by herself. Yeah, and working two jobs, and she did what she had to do, right?
Yeah.
And
No.
some
And
people
I
said,
think, I think it's, obviously those were difficult times for her. She worked her butt off. She sacrificed in areas that, hopefully we don't have to sacrifice for our kids. But what I find is our children are watching and they are paying
yes,
attention just as you were. And that actually was a really, really big piece that kind of helped build your work ethic, your drive, your desire to succeed, and not be dependent just on that one job, I suspect. So,
absolutely.
um, yes, and I kind of have a similar thing. Like my family, mom and dad divorced when I was very young. Mom and stepdad bought a small business and literally worked their butts off their whole life. My mom worked until she was almost 70, and my stepdad worked right up until a couple of years before he died. So,
Mhm.
we see so many people, and it's almost the norm, and it's what we're signing up for. If we sign up for that, I'm going to grow up, get a good job, go get my very, very expensive degree, and then feed this 401k monster, which I've learned to just hate lately. Um, and to me, I think the whole system's a little bit rigged, quite frankly. So
Yeah,
I'm so excited that, like you and I, it
agree.
sounds like we have similar paths in that we found that and we could see that as well. But most people don't like grow up, get a good job, and then start doing this, and certainly not doing this as successfully as you have. So, like, can you talk a little bit about that transition where you've got a good W two, and yet you're doing all of this other work on the side? Like most people, having a W two is overwhelming. So how did you manage that process?
Yeah, great question. And I'm not going to lie, like I'm not going to sugarcoat it that there's been some challenges in that. It is essentially I'm working two jobs, and just to back up a little bit, talked a little bit about I kind of started passively investing, and then got more on the active side. And so now I'm a general partner. Started as a limited partner as passive investing, and now I'm a general partner, and now have 600 doors, $40 million under assets under management. It's a lot of work, and some people gloss over that part, that it's a lot of work. And so that has been my biggest challenge is probably time. That's been my biggest challenge, right? Is trying to juggle those things. But what I've realized is that, sacrifices are necessary, but they're temporary. And that has really allowed me that propels me to keep going forward, because this is just a temporary. Yes, it's challenging, and it's a lot of work, but I have a goal, and that's what keeps me going. Is that it's temporary, because once I get to my goal, I won't have to work two jobs anymore, right? Like that's the thing is, and we can talk about more this too, Randy, because I know you and I had connected on this. That I think that we were all designed for a greater purpose, and that we weren't just meant to clock in and clock out of a job. And that's been a big motivator for me. And just again, with talking with other people, and I want to help other people out of that situation. I think a lot of people are stuck or flat in their growth, and are stuck in those W-2s that they're like, I just have to, keep trucking along. But there are other options to help you along the way and to get to your goals faster. And that's really what multifamily has allowed me to do.
Yeah, I love, love, love that. Thank you for saying that. And is it Jim Rohn or actually Zig Ziglar? Like, um, the more people you help, the more value. Or I don't remember exactly what it is, but basically, the more people you help, the more success and the more abundance that you'll have yourself. And
Absolutely.
I love that because I think that even myself, like I got stuck in this cycle where I would go get another job. I would spend a year or two figuring out the job and moving up and improving my performance in that role. And then I would be at that spot where I'm doing really, really well. And then I would go take another job and I would start all over again. And it was just this hamster wheel where, you're chasing the ladder, you're chasing, trying to go up the corporate ladder. And I heard somebody the other day that said, maybe we're running up the wrong ladder and you
Oh, I
can't
like
jump
that.
from one to the other very easily. So I love how you talked about helping other people though. So I'm wondering, what does that look like for you with this business and how have you been able to do that with the people that you work with?
Yes, I feel like so many people have helped me along the way. This is definitely a team sport. I love that about multifamily. I'm kind of one of those people that you have to get out of that mindset of thinking that you have to do something yourself, because I was very much like that, especially coming from single family doing that. Single family is, gosh, it's so competitive that, and nobody wants to help each other. Nobody wants to like share their secrets. And in multifamily, it's very different. It's definitely a team effort, and so many people helped me along the way. And I just want to pay that forward. And like you said, I think that also what you put out there comes back to you tenfold. And I also have an abundance mindset where there's enough success for all of us. This is, you might think of this as a competitive space, and we might be sharing tips and tricks and helping each other out, but gosh, there's so much success out there, there's enough for everyone. And I truly believe that. And so if I can help someone else along the way, absolutely, I want to do that. So I host a meetup is one of the things I like to do. I have over 3,400 members in our meetup group. So I love doing that. And that's just a way for me to connect with people and let them connect. One of the very first things when I was interested in multifamily is I went to a meetup, and I knew nothing about it, nothing about multifamily. And I learned so much from that meetup. And then that led me to other events and other meetups. One of the very first people that I met at that meetup, knowing nothing, is now a good friend of mine. And we're now in a mastermind together. And we've done these trips together, done crazy things like cold plunges. But it's a great community where we can grow together. We can encourage each other, not only from the financial side, from a business standpoint, but from a personal development standpoint. And it's just great. I've met some incredible people. And so why not, why, if I can help other people, absolutely. I would love to, because I think I can see that I see in other people, I see myself, right? I see where I was and how I didn't know what I was looking for. I just knew that there had to be something else. And so I feel like there's people that are looking for something, they just don't know what it is. And if I can help share that and get them started and encourage them on their path, absolutely, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, and it seems like you've got kind of the heart of a teacher as well, and it seems like that energy that you have is probably fairly addictive that people will. I was going to say buy into, but that kind of has a negative connotation. But people can get behind and support somebody with the type of energy that you have. So that's fantastic. 3,400 member meetup population. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Can we talk a little bit about that? Like, is that an
Sure.
online community, or what is that?
It's in person, so it's on Meetup, and that's where I found my first multifamily event. I use Meetup a lot, and yes, so now we have 3,400 members. It's local here in Dallas, and yeah, so we meet. I like in person. That's just me. I think relationships. Gosh, I think it's just something that you can develop such a deeper relationship with someone just meeting them in person. And so I like sharing out. So we meet here locally at a restaurant, Blue Mesa, and we share just different topics, right? Sometimes I have guest speakers, sometimes it's me just sharing my knowledge, and it is a lot of new people in the space. Or people that have come from single family, which was me, and trying to make that transition. They're like, gosh, how can I scale this? They're looking for those answers, and so to be able to share my story, if that helps them in some way, I'm happy to do it. So I love it. It's fun.
That's great. That's great. And what a service you're actually providing the community as well, because those take a lot of time, a lot of energy. It's highly stressful.
Oh my gosh.
It's not just show up and everybody has a good time. There's a lot of things
It's
going on behind the scenes. So yeah,
I
thank you.
so appreciate you for saying that, because it is a
Yeah,
lot of time. Like I had no idea how much work that I was going to be putting into that, but yes, it is. Thank you
I'm
for
sure.
acknowledging that. It's a lot of,
Yeah.
yes, but it's
And,
fun.
and
It's
and
good.
and it is a great platform for you though as well. Like it gives you an audience, it gives you a stage. And I think if you're in the space, the education space, or trying to inspire potential new investors, you have to have a stage of some sort. I choose the podcast. You have the meetup, and yeah, it sounds like that's worked very, very well for you. So 600 doors in just a little over a couple of years. Like clearly something's working. So for the W-2 employee who is interested in looking into this space, why do you think multifamily? Why is passive investing such a good idea? And are there some benefits that maybe the standard W-2 guy doesn't know about this space that you can help educate on?
Sure. Yeah. Well, one, I just like getting checks in the mail.
That's a nice one.
Right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that part's fun.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I love it because it's a lot more stable than what I had been investing in the stock market and my 401k. I mean, less volatility. My 401k was down 30% last year. I'm not joking. 30%. I mean, that's painful. And I think that a lot of people, especially these past few years, right? It's been the stock market has been so volatile, and I think people are looking for other options that are more stable. And I love the appreciation, right? I'm putting my money into something that's going to increase in value, a tangible asset, a piece of real estate. I invest particularly in DFW. That's just because I've been here for over 35 years. And so I know the area and it's growing like crazy. So that's one of the things I look for is what kind of, location's big to me. But I actually have had a lot of people ask me lately, like, well, Dawn, is now a good time to invest? Because, what are we facing? Are we in a recession? Are we facing a recession? What about interest rates are crazy? Like what's happening? And I kind of just go back to do you think that this property is going to be worth more in 5 years or 10 years, whatever it is, than it is today? Do you think it's going to be worth more? And every single person says yes. Yes, it's going to be worth more than it is today. It's just, history shows us that real estate only goes one direction. Now, yes, I mean, there's fluctuations. Yes, I'm not saying that, yes, there's fluctuations, there's dips in the market. I get that. But over time, if you look at just appreciation of real estate in general, it just continues to appreciate. So I didn't even know about some of the tax benefits that come with multifamily investing. I didn't even know this. This wasn't a reason for me to get into multifamily, but it definitely is a huge, huge benefit of investing in multifamily that you get some great tax benefits with anyone who's new to multifamily that you get. We do a cost segregation study, and then we can take all the like bonus depreciation allows us to take all the depreciation in year one, the first year that we acquire the property. Now, unfortunately, that tax law is being phased out. So it's scaled from 100% depreciation to 80% for 2023. And then it's going to go down, I think 20 points like every year. But that basically means that we can have a loss on our taxes. So our CPAs will issue a loss for you. If you were invest $100,000 investment, I think my last one had like an $86,000 loss on my
Oh
K1.
my goodness.
Yeah, so that's huge, right? So I didn't even know that was the thing. So that was a nice surprise that there's some great tax benefits as well.
Yeah, and it can be those are passive losses that count against your passive income,
Right.
but there are some options in some scenarios where it can actually count against your W-2 income as well. And as always, we say we're not CPAs, so don't take tax advice from us, but
Yes.
there are ways where you can really, really, really benefit from the depreciation losses in this space. Um, that, again, like yourself, I had no idea until I got that first K1, or as I was expecting that first K1, and you really start to see the power of income that you can generate with a lot of tax benefits, and it's ultimately how the very, very wealthy end up paying so little in taxes is through that depreciation benefit. And I think it's interesting. A lot of us we've been so excited about this 100% accelerated depreciation that when we say 80% accelerated depreciation is not that great. 80% accelerated depreciation is still fantastic.
Yes.
Um, Even in a few years when we don't have that, just using a cost segregation is huge compared to taking it over 27 and a half or 39 years. So don't
Absolutely.
be discouraged, listeners, if you hear this 100% down to 80, it's still significant. So
Absolutely. I'll take
um,
80% any day. Absolutely. Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, and the beautiful thing is that if you start investing in multiple deals, you get this wave of passive losses that follows you from year to year to year. And the second you have passive income, it wipes it out and you don't pay taxes on it. It's like the fourth wonder of the world, I think. So, anyways, um, well, very good. So let's talk a little bit about your business if we can. Like literally 600 doors in less than 2 years. That's amazing to be able to grow that quickly. So how do you do that? Is it just you go to some meetups and you meet some people and you put some offers in and next thing you know you're 600 doors in? Or I suspect there's a little bit more to it than that.
Sure. Yes. I ended up. So I'm really big on education. I'm big on education and mentorship. I think that that's huge. I think no matter what space that you're in, if you want to learn something, a new skill, whatever it is, that the first step is education, right? And finding mentors. Like find a person that's done the thing that you want to do and follow them, right? And follow success. And so that's what I did is I found a mentor in the space that has been doing this for many, many years, and I joined that program. And that is where I've met all of my partners, again, not knowing anything, a single thing about multifamily. And my very first apartment building that I purchased is a $10 million building. It has 91 doors in Fort Worth. Yes. I mean, it is kind of crazy when you think about that. And I mean, I still, it's kind of hard to believe. But I have three partners on that deal, and I met them all through this network of investors. So I definitely think relationships. I'm advocate. I'm just getting to know people. Really, there's people that can. You just never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to end up partnering with, who you might buy a deal from. That first deal that we bought, we knew the sellers, so I think that we had a huge advantage. And that was just through networking and just, kind of what you and I are doing today, just like talking with people and just, making those connections. And I think that's huge. It really, really goes a long way. And people say that it's a relationship business. Absolutely. I believe that. Yeah.
So let's talk about that specific deal, and I guess the specifics of that deal aren't as important, but I'd love for the listeners to understand how three people come together, they buy a $10 million asset. Um, what type of credibility, or how do you gain the credibility to go to the banks to be considered like a legitimate buyer? Um, like I know you have some additional resources through the mentorship that you have, but I don't know that the audience understands that. So, can you walk through what joining the mentorship gives you as one of the mentees and all of the support that you get? So, as potential investors consider partnering with folks like you, like they can have the confidence that you've got the bench strength to take down and handle things when things get tough.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great question. So one of the very first things is, talking about relationships, going back to that, is this mentorship program. You've got buyer brokers they know every broker in the market that you're looking in, and they have relationships. They had relationships that I don't have, right? They, not going, if I try to call one of these brokers, they're like Don Keller, like, who are you? But they know these guys, they've had relationships for years, and they go golfing together and dinners together. So I leverage that. I definitely leverage using those. I said, hey, can I have an introduction? This guy, can like introduction to the broker, and got actually one of the guys to go tour that first property that we bought, that $10 million property, toured it with us. So he knows the broker really, really well. So he's out there with us. He's kind of vouching for us. And then my partners, I did team up with two of my three partners do have lots of experience too, because you're right, getting a loan, buying a $10 million property, you have to have that loan experience. You've got to have that. And so I partnered with two people that have that experience. And my fourth partner, and that was our first deal together. So, but yeah, I think it's just finding the right people. You've got to have, yes, I think, find people that complement your skill set. And I think for me, what I did, because I'm coming, like, why does an experienced person want to partner with me? And I just laid it out there, what I was willing to do. And basically I said, I'll do all the work. You guide me, and you lead me on what to do, and I'll do because there's a ton of work that goes into it. Just all of the market research and comps and, all of that when you're analyzing a property. So I took that on, and that was the agreement that my partners and I had. Like, they're going to take the lead and guide us through it because they have the experience, but I'll be doing a lot of the legwork. And so that's kind of how that good balance there, how that worked out.
I love it.
Um,
Thank you for walking through that too, because the reality is $10 million deals they don't happen with a few people that just met at a mentorship
yeah,
program over a weekend. Like, this is really, really hard work. Banks aren't going to finance something unless they're very, very, very confident that it's going to come off very well. And not only do you need the experience, but you need to have the ability to sign on the loan, which means somebody who's got very, very high net worth is involved in that deal, and
Mhm.
they're signing on these loans as well. So thank you for walking through that. We've not gotten into those type of details yet on this podcast because I've not had a lot of newer operators on this space. So thank you for walking through that. I think that's
Sure.
really important to know. And I think it's a neat story as well that, if you have, we call it the superpower, you hear people talk about the superpower, everybody has a superpower that they can bring to a partnership and bring value to that partnership. And it's possible that, as a passive investor, you can make the transition over to the active space because it can be extremely lucrative and
Mhm.
create a lifestyle that's really, really, really attractive, um, far more attractive than anything I think personally you can find in the W-2 space. So
Agreed.
congratulations. That's amazing. That's amazing that you did that. Now, so you talked a little bit about relationships, and you mentioned early on that relationships are really important. I have this strategy where I like to date before I get married. It sounds kind of silly, but like really, like how are you vetting, or how did you vet your partners before you walk down the aisle with those folks in a $10 million marriage? Like, what did that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. And that's a great point because my very first partner that we agreed to kind of partner together, we connected on a personal level. It wasn't even about partnering. It was just we connected on a just things we have in common, our belief system and our priorities and just mindset and all of those things that was really important. And so we just connected on a personal level. And so it just grew from there. So it's definitely not this is not a get rich quick scheme, right? This is a long game. That's why I started investing passively right off the bat, because that's something that you can do almost immediately, right? I wanted to put my money to work. That was my first goal, right? It's just putting my money in something other than the 401k, like we talked about. And so I did that pretty much immediately, started investing passively. And then it took some time to develop those relationships, because you're right. Like you're not just investing with anyone. These are your partners for 3, 5 years or more, right? So that was, yeah. And I want to make sure that our I guess our morals, our ethics are in line, because you have to make some really tough decisions sometimes. And there's people out there that, I think with my team, connected with each and every one of my team, my three other partners. And it was very clear from the beginning that we, our mentality is the investors come first, right? Our residents, yes, but it's not about us. It's not about us making money. This is a benefit. That's great. This is a great benefit, but it's not about us. And we're willing to make those sacrifice, whatever we need to do, change our percentage split, our profit split, whatever we need to do to make this work and make sure that our investors, I'd rather lose my own money than my investors' money. 100%. And we all aligned with that. And I think so things like that you just have to figure out, like, is this the type of person, or do we agree on these things? Because when you have to make some tough decisions, those things really come out. And some people do not agree on those things. So that was really important for me.
No, I thank you. I love that you say that. Um, First of all, just saying that the investor comes first. I think that's amazing that you have that mindset. And I can tell from the passion that's coming out in the conversation that you actually believe that. You're not just saying that because it's a great sales tool. Um, yeah, I love that you're saying that. And I think it's interesting that my experience is that I need to spend quite a bit of time with people before I feel comfortable with them, because I think people can show up and they can put a happy face on, or they can put an integrity face on, or when things are going well, everybody's happy and everything's
Hmm.
wonderful. But like if you sit around and you watch people long enough, people will show themselves, whether it's positive or negative. And I usually like to wait around on the side to see when one of those difficult things happens and see how they respond. And yeah, it's refreshing to hear that you did something similar to get that comfort level, because not only important for you, but it's important for your tenants, it's important for your investors. And it's important for the longevity of your business because you're staking your name on what these other partners are doing as well. So great job. That's inspiring. I'm excited to hear all the work that you've done there. So,
Thank
um,
you.
well, gosh, we have already spent like almost 30 minutes together, and I feel like I could spend another 30 easily.
Me
But
too.
um,
Yes.
let's why don't we do this? If we have to have you back on in another 6 months or so, we can do that. So let's
I
honor
love it.
everybody's time and try to keep it to 30 minutes or so. But I
Sure.
do have a few kind of fun questions that I like to ask. I would say that I ask everybody, but sometimes I forget. But we're going to ask this time. So, are there any specific educational resources that you learned the most from that you would like to share with the audience, specifically around passive investing, if we could focus on that?
Well, I'm a closet nerd, so I would say I would say books. I love books. I mean, aside from meetups, we talked about that because I do think
Yeah,
going to meetups and meeting people. But yeah, I'm definitely a book person. And like I'm not talking about the audio kinds. I'm talking about the physical.
wow. Like real paper. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I'm like old school. So and most of your audience probably already has heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Of course, that's a classic. Gosh, I feel like they should be handing that book out in high school. I don't
I
understand
agree.
why for me, I only read that book just a few years ago, and it changed my life, changed the way that I think about things. And but aside from that, maybe another just a recommendation, maybe a book recommendation would be the 12-week year. It's by Brian Moran. And for me, this is not just multifamily. I think this is for anybody who likes to set goals, right? I was struggling with my my yearly goals, right? And I think that there's a disconnect sometimes. It's like making a New Year's resolution, right? It's like you make it and you barely even get through January. There was some disconnect for me. And once I learned how to really break down my goals into shorter term goals, the 12-week year, is 12-week goals, but even I break it down even more. Like I live by my daily and weekly goals. That's really what propels me and keeps me going forward. Because really, the truth is that results don't happen annually or they don't happen monthly. They happen daily. Like your action has to be like daily. Do one thing, whatever it is. Do something every single day. Like that's really what's going to move the needle. Is taking action, like consistent action every day.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I love it. So 12-week year, really, really great book. I have not read it, but I love the concept. And I am a huge fan. I do, and I've shared this on the podcast before, but I do like every single day, I do 3 big wins and 3 goals for tomorrow. And then at the end of the week, I summarize the week. At the end of the month, I summarize the month, quarter, year, all the way. So like I hope to be doing it in decade blocks at some point. So
I do the
um,
same thing. I do the exact same thing. So yes, you're already doing the 12-weeker without even realizing it. Yes.
I
Yes. I
love it.
love it.
I love it. Yeah. All right. So we talked about books. We talked about meetups. Any particular podcast that you're currently listening to, or ones that might really, really help the first-time passive investor?
Well, I mean, aside from The Gentle Art of Crushing It by
Of
Randy
course.
Smith,
Yeah.
um, I like Neil Bawa. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like Neil Bawa. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's great. He's got some really good educational. He does webinars too. I don't know if they're all podcasts, but
Yeah.
he's got a ton of free content out there.
Yeah.
He's a wealth of knowledge. Yeah, love him.
Yeah. Bigger brain and big picture trends, economics, that type of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I literally was listening to a Neil Bawa podcast on my run like an hour and a half ago. So, yeah,
Love it.
really good resource to share. Um, well, here's one that's kind of fun. I'm curious if you would share with the audience a recent bucket list item you checked off your list, or one that you hope to check off in the near future.
Yeah. So this sounds weird that I'm 40 something years old. I've never been ziplining, or I had not been ziplining ever until just a few
Okay.
months ago. I have like a fear of heights. It's like a legit, the kind that just makes my body like shake. I mean, and my knees like are weak. And so I stay away from those types of activities. But in this
Okay.
mastermind that I'm part of, it's all about pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. And so I've been ziplining twice in the past couple of months
All
through these
right.
masterminds. And then to top it off, did a 50-foot rock climb, like rock wall climb, which that has never, okay, so I guess it's not really bucket list because it's something I would never normally do under normal circumstances, but just pushing past those fears.
Yeah.
That's what it was about. And I'm so, so glad I did it. It just, if I'm being honest, I probably think myself out of doing things a lot. And
Yeah.
instead of just thinking about it and overthinking it, if you just do it, sometimes it's not as scary as you thought it was going to be in your head.
Yeah.
And just keep going. Right. I remember being on that rock climbing wall, just thinking, like, just looking for like the next rung and like the next cog, whatever it was, just to push and pull, and just don't think about it, just do it. And it was incredible. And it felt really rewarding. So,
That's
that
awesome.
felt like a win, just like pushing past that fear. And that's life, right? Sometimes.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a whole new version of you on the other side of fear that you get to meet
Yeah.
if you take the plunge. So, yeah, very fun. Well, thank you for sharing that with the audience. So, so how could our audience help support you, and how can they find out more or connect with you? What's the best way to find you?
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Well, I have a free gift for your listeners if you'd like. It is called 10 free tips to make your money work for you. And that is on my website, which is crownmultifamily.com. So if you just want to visit crownmultifamily.com, you can get a copy of that.
Outstanding. Well, Don, thank you so much. You brought so much value to the audience. Love the energy, love the passion, love the drive. You've done amazing things in a very short time in this space. So congratulations, and
Thanks.
thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Randy. It's been an absolute pleasure. It went by so fast, and I'd love to chat with you more.
We definitely will. We definitely will. So, well, very good. Well, audience, as always, be sure to reach out and connect with Don. Take advantage of that top 10 free tips, and continue the education journey in this passive investing space. We're confident if you continue to get educated and continue to get inspired, and get inspired to the point where you make that first investment, you will be so happy that you did, and we're confident it will change the trajectory of your financial future. So thank you all for being here today, and we'll look forward to having you all on another show in the future. Thank you.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of The Gentle Art of Crushing It. It was an amazing episode. We know we sure learned a lot, and we hope you did as well. We want to take a second and thank you so much for viewing or listening to this episode. And please just know that we only ask for one favor, and that is to make this life magnificent. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.